Welcome to our countdown to $1 million in 1 month. Today's installment focuses on the update on trading process. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. Wanted to specifically thank our Patreon supporters as well as our subscribers. Both of you really impact our channel, so if you enjoy the content, please comment, like, and subscribe. Today's the 19th of November, 2020. We're in sort of the biggest 30-day countdown, so it's the 20th as of tomorrow for kind of the life of Tesla and the stock price. So one of our stated goals is that we'd love to have our viewers all make $1 million this month, if possible. And with that in mind, you'll likely see a show every day until then, particularly during the trading week, to sort of generally gather some information that might be useful if you're involved in both investing and or trading. I highly encouraged some trading in the option space as a way to prepare and make more money than you would by just holding the stock, because options are a lot more risky, but you make 10 times the money. So it therefore makes up a little bit for the risk. So I want to thank those of you who've responded. I also want to thank those of you who've left useful comments, supportive comments, always appreciated. If you don't like our content, it's okay. Just go to another channel, because what our objective is to make sure all the people that are with us, many of whom have been around for years, do better, learn more, and make more money, as well as support Tesla in the process. So if you're in the hate zone, it's okay. There are other places you could take the hate, and let's just get down to business. So I, first of all, wanted to review a concept I came up with at the beginning of the year. So we've had probably 500 millionaires created by folks who've watched our channels, and then folks making even more millions if they already had them. So we were wanting to sort of stay focused on that objective and deliver on that objective over time by adding information to that process. I wanted to let you know that we did get some folks interested in learning about options trading, as well as how to generate a process for getting to perhaps $1 million or 10 or 12 times their money in the next 30 days. And the easiest route to do it is just pick an option into next year, preferably obviously a call option, and just buy it and hold it until then. That's the simplest process, I would say. I think you'll make great money, and I think you'll be in great shape. Now, there are some of you who are starting with smaller amounts who want to push the value of their portfolios up rapidly to some of the larger numbers while this opportunity is available. Now, I actually did something 8 months ago where we had a group of about 10 people that we worked with to help with their trading process. And so in essence, we do some trade coaching. And I thought I would try and offer it again, because I think this is a huge opportunity that we're experiencing right now. What's involved? First, we have daily calls to review trading positions and assist you in sort of setting up good process for good trading. Secondly, we offer, we've shot several videos on process of trading options. You get access to those. Thirdly, you actually get access to our Patreon area, because in that space, we actually do a daily show that gives further market insight in terms of what's happening, etc. So I think there's a lot of value there. What I've done in the past, and I will do again, is that, there's a fee for our trading services. What we'll do is, if you don't make money, we'll refund half that fee. If you do make money, obviously we keep the fee, so our incentive is to see you do well. How did it work last time? We found 1 or 2 people that didn't make money, but we actually had several people make huge money, as in excess of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. And I think that's really awesome. Plus, they learn better process of trading to help facilitate that. So I think it can be a worthwhile effort to do that. We do have a sort of a sliding scale of cost. Sort of depends on, how much you're managing slightly, but in general, it still takes the same amount of work with each individual to sort of bring them up the learning curve and help them in their process of trading for the funds that they might have. So it is an option. If you're interested, please drop us a private message on Facebook, or if you sign up at any level on Patreon, you can also send a message in that manner as well. So happy to assist. I'd encourage you, because there's a lot of money to be made, but a lot of money to be lost, to consider doing more effort than if you're experienced, no problem. But if you're brand new, I think it'd be good to have some help. So today's show, I really wanted to concentrate on a couple of things that are going on right now. The first thing is it's the 19th, tomorrow's the 20th. I believe tomorrow is what's called triple witching. So what this means is that there are a number of expirations happening all at the same time. So as a result, you could see a lot of volatility either up or down in the stock market, and obviously to some extent that'll affect Tesla as well. We're also hitting what we talked about as being the 3-day rule. So one of the things that I like to do is handicap how big money managers operate. So my objective is to sort of keep throwing things at you to say, okay, let's look at what's happening, why, how things might work. Because what'll happen sometimes is that, we'll talk about something and there'll be nothing with it. And then 2 weeks later it shows up. And so it's nice that you already have that information to work with and you don't have to think about it. So today, what I wanted to look at is how institutional money managers operate in this condensed environment. So 3 concepts I wanted to present today are: number 1, time of day trading. So typically for the next 3 days, I want you to take a minute and notice how many shares of Tesla trade in the first hour and a half and in the last hour and a half of the day, and then how many shares trade in the middle of the day. The reason this is important is that what actually happens for institutions is when you're trading large amounts of shares, part of what you're trying to do is find out when other large institutions are trading and make sure that you limit your trading activity to those times, because you'll get better execution prices. If you're trading those shares in the middle of the day, high noon, let's say, you now have the problem of lower trading volume. Means as soon as you put a large order in, the price of that stock will spike temporarily. And if you're buying a lot of shares, that could cost you a lot of money. So something to think about as you're trading, like when are you going to buy, when are you going to sell, take the time to watch trade volume and when there's peaks and lows, because at the low points, yes, you could have large trading happen in the middle of the day, but in general, the large institutions are trying to hide their large trades among other large trades that are going on, therefore getting them better execution prices, which I think is definitely something to think about. The next thing I wanted to review on process heading into the S&P for Tesla is there are a large number of institutions that are required to have a certain number of shares of the stock, as it's weighted by the S&P. So there's another sort of interesting problem that's happening, which is if there's a concept called dollar cost averaging. So what that means is if you're going to buy shares in Tesla right now, you would just buy a share of Tesla every day until the 20th of December. And then your average price would be, the number of days divided by, and you probably get your best price there because it's balanced over the number of days. Well, this is an interesting situation because you have to be in by the 21st if you're an institution. So in theory, I would say there are probably 3 major tranches. The first group, which is the people who figure out how to get in now before the price spikes, and they have to worry about it. There's a second group, which is the group that's going to say, oh, we didn't do it in the first few days or a week. Let's try to do it in the middle of the time frame because people may have sort of reduced their heavy trading activity during that period, and we can perhaps get in at a better price. And obviously, they're going to be the last minute folks who might be kind of screwed because now it's known that they have to get in and prices are going to spike up. So the bottom line, though, is they do have to get in. And this is unusual because usually institutions with their money and power don't have to worry. They can optimize everything for their needs rather than having to be at the mercy of the marketplace, which is kind of what's going on now. So the second concept is those guys have to get in and they have to buy in, and prices can push up. And what I think we're going to see is what's called buying the dip. So as the stock might dip back, you'll see it start pulling back up, because what people are trying to do is find those downdrafts in the stock price to buy in, and therefore get a better price as they average in the purchase of the shares they need over that time period. So these are sort of generalist concepts. I have to say that I'm really amazed with trading, because I've been trading a long time, and I now have access. One of our advisors just finished a Wall Street tent, and I just had a half-hour conversation with him about, okay, where are we? What do you expect to happen? And it was really fascinating, because one of the challenges can be that you need to get in on your trade, and you may have to either sell or buy, depending, to get prompt optimization. But I was really stunned, because what his conversation was focused on is the fact that once Tesla's the S&P on the 21st, he expected it to be a situation where you buy the rumor, sell the news. So everybody's now in, so people can take a breather because they're in, and you may see the stock price fall on the 21st. So for those of you who are doing long out calls because they're safer, good idea, but you may want to think about the short-term impact of getting to the end of the cycle at which Tesla shares have all been purchased by everybody that needs to, and now you potentially have all these folks that are like, I'm done, and there are all these articles and so forth talking about what happens at the back end of this trade. And so I thought it was an interesting comment, because he didn't talk about, well, what's going to happen between here and there. And it's our assessment, my assessment, that we're actually going to see a nice updraft in the stock price, and therefore an opportunity for a lot of you and us to make some money. And the goal is to try to load up on shares during that period in order to enjoy that upward movement in the stock price. I just think this is an awesome opportunity. The other thing that we talked about in our meeting was the fact that usually S&P tries to move the stock in within a week or so. That way it minimizes sort of the headache. But if you had done it with Tesla, because it's so big, this would create a monster spike in the stock price, which is, I think, why they spread it out as they have. Now, spreading it out is a good idea in general, but you kind of still have the same problem, which is why the stock price is rising right now. Now, one of the challenges of trading is what I call momentary blips that can affect things. So if you look at the options string right now, there are something, according to one of my trading buddies, there are 100,000 calls at $500 a share on Tesla right now, and there are about 1,900 puts at that number. So basically, there are a lot of people predicting that this stock is going to rise nicely. Now, what's really interesting here is that we've talked a lot about something called pinning. And what that means is that if, in fact, so today's Thursday, on Friday the 20th, if the market makers are able to pin the stock price below $500 a share, there are a whole bunch of people who are depending on it getting to 500 who are now going to lose and not make any money. So can this be done? Yes. Will it get done? Well, now that the stock has officially broken 500 as it did this morning, the chances of that are definitely there, but there's a higher likelihood that the stock price will be above 500 and heading north. And so I just thought this was an interesting data point. One other data point that I'm not advocating, but I thought it was really creative and interesting that I saw from someone who commented on our last show was the fact that if in fact you sell a put, you now have the cash with which you can buy a call on Tesla, which is where you think it's going. Advanced technique, logical, gives you more cash to trade to the upside where you think things might be going. And so I'm not advocating it, but I thought it was a creative idea and wanted to share with you as something you might want to think about. So, this show today was designed to sort of introduce a few different trading ideas and tools that you might want to consider about as you're trading into the next few weeks. We also wanted to encourage you to consider our sort of trade consulting for this period, because our true objective is for you to make more money, and I think options are a great way to do it right now, and be happy to walk you through a trading process to assist you in this process of cleaning up on what I think is the last huge opportunity to make giant money on Tesla if you're a long-term holder, owner, etc. Any rate, I want to, this is the end of our formal show. The next part, as we usually do, is our health tips. Wanted to remind you. So what I did was I surveyed about 200 MD, PhD, mostly doctors, on different topics and asked them, from your expertise standpoint, what's one or two ideas that's within your wheelhouse we should all be considering health-wise? And so we kind of go through 5 of those usually, and we've put some, if you look below, you'll see a list we have there as well. The first one I always like, and I'm not doing enough myself, but I love to remind you as well, is 25 leg lifts per leg. Just sit on a chair. If you have a leg weight on your ankle, you would just raise your leg up 25 times on one side, 25 times on the other, and that's it. You'll notice that your quad muscles will strengthen, and then your knees will be more locked in, less chance of operations, and a very cheap way to do that. It's only $8 for those weights at Walmart. The second part I would recommend is no more than once a week fried foods, avoiding type 2 diabetes. Number 3 is don't go to bed within 4 hours of eating. Ideally, 2 hours minimum allows the food to fully digest. Also, prior to lovemaking, one of our doctors recommended that a salad or something very light is a good idea because it takes blood flow to digest the food, and it also takes blood flow for lovemaking. So if you choose to have all the blood going to the food, it's not going to be available for other functions within your body. And I think that you'll find it to be a good deal, and everybody that's tried it out on the channel has been pretty happy with the outcome. So we have had 0 complaints on that one thus far, so I think that's great. I guess the final thing that I would suggest is obviously exercise is a good deal. Maintaining a steady sleep schedule, same time to bed and wake each day, is also another way to help make sure your health is maintained well. So don't forget, drop us a note on Facebook if you have an interest in trading. We'll set up a plan for you, and get after it, because I think this is kind of an opportunity of a lifetime right now for Tesla, and it all ends on the 21st of December. So you've got to get in and make it happen now. Anyway, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, lehitro, Hebrew, choda hafez, Farsi. Assalamu alaikum, do widzenia, Polish, namaste, Hindi, which is Hindu, but I was told it's Hindi, hey do, Swedish, and Zdravstvuyte, hello in Russian, ni hao ma, hello in Chinese, and we also wanted to say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.